Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into one of the most powerful stories ever told about finding a way forward when everything seems lost, the journey on the road to Emmaus.
I mean, it's a question we all face at some point, isn't it? That feeling of being totally overwhelmed by disappointment, by sadness, by worry. That moment when the future you were banking on just disappears.
And their story, which you can find in the Gospel of Luke, it's way more than just an ancient tale. It's actually become this incredible model for how we can navigate our own despair and find our way back to hope. All right, let's get into it.
So our story kicks off on a 7-mile walk away from Jerusalem. Now you got to understand, Jerusalem was the center of their world, the heart of all their hopes. It's where everything was supposed to happen, and they are walking away from it.
That one word, downcast, it just says everything. Pope Francis talks about this as a universal experience, That moment when we feel so crushed and dejected that we physically turn our backs on our own dreams. We just walk away.
Wow, this line right here just captures that sense of total defeat. Listen to the words, "We had hoped." It's all past tense. They invested everything they had, their faith, their lives, their future, in this man. And now, as far as they're concerned, it's all gone. Forever.
So as they're walking along, just lost in their conversation, this stranger comes up and starts walking with them. But here's the fascinating part. The text says they were kept from recognizing him. It's like their grief was so thick, it was literally blinding them. The stranger asks this really simple, open-ended question. And a theologian, Father Derek Sakovsky, he points out something brilliant here. By kind of pretending he doesn't know what's going on, Jesus, the stranger, gives them permission to just let it all out. He doesn't try to fix it, he just invites them to share it.
And boy, do they. They just pour out their whole story of crushed hopes. They explain everything that happened to Jesus of Nazareth. And that's the crucial point, right? The very act of telling their story, of putting that pain into words, that is the absolute beginning of their healing.
Okay, this is where things really start to shift. The stranger, he doesn't hit them with those simple platitudes, "Oh, it'll be okay." Nope. Instead, he takes their story of tragedy and completely reframes the whole thing.
He starts connecting the dots for them. He takes their personal, painful little story and shows them how it fits into this massive, epic narrative. He helps them see that their suffering wasn't some random, meaningless end, but it was actually part of a divine plan all along.
This old saying really nails his method. He's showing them how all of history was pointing to this very moment. And as he does this, he starts to reignite what Pope Francis calls the warmth of faith and hope deep in their hearts. It's like a pilot light flickering back on.
And just listen to the feeling they describe. It's not just, "Oh, I feel a little better." No, their hearts were burning. Their sadness isn't magically gone, but it's being transformed into this passionate energy, this burning curiosity. Hope is literally catching fire inside them.
So if you look at their journey, you can see this clear pattern emerge. It's like a roadmap from grief to hope. It starts with just telling the story, then hearing it in a new way, then sharing a meal, and it all leads to this moment of recognition, and finally, the need to share it.
So, as they finally get to the village, Emmaus, the disciples realize they just don't want this conversation to end. They feel this incredible pull, this attraction to this stranger who has totally relit their world. This invitation right here, this is everything. This simple act of hospitality, of just asking someone to share a meal, to join their community, it becomes the absolute turning point of the entire story.
And look what happens. It's such a familiar ritual, right? An everyday action. He takes bread, blesses it, breaks it, and shares it. And in that simple, familiar, shared moment of communion, bam, it clicks.
This is it, the big reveal. And the ultimate insight doesn't come from more words or some big argument. It comes from a shared experience, from breaking bread together. Suddenly, their spiritual eyes are wide open.
And then, he's gone. But it doesn't even matter that he's physically vanished. Why? Because the encounter has already happened. The switch has been flipped. They've been completely changed from the inside out.
So now, that journey of despair they were on, it gets completely reversed. This encounter with hope doesn't just leave them feeling better, it makes them do something. It compels them to act.
Immediately. They don't wait for morning, they don't sleep on it, they get up and they retrace that entire 7-mile journey. But this time, they're not dragging their feet in sadness. They are rushing back, filled with joy, and a story they have to tell.
I mean, just look at this transformation on the screen. It is a complete 180. Everything is the mirror opposite. Walking away becomes rushing back. Sadness becomes joy. Closed eyes become opened eyes. Their personal despair has been transformed into a public mission.
And this is the final piece of the puzzle. It's so cool. The word Mass actually comes from this Latin word missa, which means sent. So, having been transformed by their experience, they are now sent out to be witnesses, totally compelled to let other people know what they've seen. So, the big takeaway here is that this isn't just some 2,000-year-old story. It's a map. It's a guide for how we can find our own way back from despair, by telling our stories through the warmth of community and by seeing our own struggles as part of a much bigger picture. Which leaves us with a pretty important question to think about.